Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. I'm Donspektor and I'm finally here from vacation. And if you ask how it was, well, not as warm as I thought it would be. But today we are here with another audio review, and it's not technically in an IEM or whatever. No, today I'm looking at another ear tip, and I have for you the let me get it correctly, the Azla SednaEarfit Lite or Azla SednaEarfit ear tip series generally, because they are pretty much similar to all of the other tips. And after I already reviewed the Xelastecs, just get them here so you can see this beauty boy here, and really much like that. It's one of the most comfortable tips I've ever worn. The question is, can this stack up? And I'll be trying to answer this question in the next couple of minutes. And as you can see, this is the packaging it comes with. Definitively much too big if you ask me. But okay, this is kind of a premium offering, right? So they have to give you something premium for your money. But okay, generally, the main information about this tip. This is how it would look like in real life. And it clocks in at $13 or $12.99 if I remember correctly. And it is being sold, I think, at pretty much everywhere you can find decent tips. I got mine at Linshall, and I've been using them for the last couple of weeks, maybe 1.5 months or so, on different IEMs. And now I can tell you how they are and what they can and what they can't. And this is pretty much, I think, the basic information you need about this tip. It's silicon, not foam. It's not this memory kind of silicon that the Xelastecs here are utilizing. It's just regular silicon. And I think this already brings me to the first bigger paragraph of this review. And this is comfort. So generally, as I said, after the Xelastecs here again, among the most comfortable tips I've ever worn. I'm not entirely sure if this is a good challenge to be up to, even if you are the same brand or the same company to do that. And so generally get the facts out, like what kind of sizings you can expect. The SednaEarfit series, or what I call it again, I think, SednaEarfit Silicon ear tips is the official name, sorry. They offered in, yes, and you heard right here, 24 different variations. And no, we are not talking about color, we are just talking about different sizings and hardnesses. Because, this thing, as you can see here, is available in 2 hardnesses. I have the light version, which is the more soft version, but there's also the normal version, which is, of course, then a bit harder than this one, at least according to the manufacturer. So what you will be getting if you want any of those, or what you can be getting, is you get sizes from SS to L. And this means SS, this one I have here, because my ear canal is pretty small, is 10.4 millimeters in diameter. If you see like a maximum diameter from the bottom here, that's 10.4 millimeters. Then you have S, which would be 11.2 millimeters, so approximately 0.8 millimeters more. Then there's MS with 11.9 millimeters. Then there's M with 12.6, ML with 13.3, and at least L with 14 millimeters. So you can generally find this tip, and I think pretty much most diameters every ear canal will allow for, or will have. Could have is probably the correct term, yes. And additionally to that, let me already get a second tip in. They are also offered in 2 different lengths. The stem here, this one you can see at the right, it's generally the same tip, but just the longer stem version is 2 millimeters longer. And this is the shorter version here, which quick spoiler, I really like these tips on my H40 here. They really fit me really well with this one. And here I would definitely use the shorter version, because the longer version would, just try to show it to you here, like this, it would poke out of my ear quite a bit more, and it will then fit the first banding in the double S of your ear canal, or my ear canal at least at this point. So this is what you can buy, and this also allows I think a pretty good variation for every tip. So this is, when we talk about comfort, because this allows in theory for really good comfort. And as I said, I have the light version here, again longer tip, shorter tip, but generally the same thing. However, they are definitively not comfortable tips. And it really hurts me to say it, because really the Xelastecs here if I would able to like afford it and would use them all of my IEMs, I would use them all of my IEMs because they are so comfortable. They're so goddamn comfortable with everything you throw them on. They're so nice. And these, they're just not as great. Of course, the main problem is they're not memory silicon, right? So they don't conform to the air canal as well as the other as the Xelastecs does. However, and additionally to that, the material here itself is relatively thick, as you can see here. Just give me another random pair of tips in here. So I hope you can see that. The right one is definitely quite a bit thinner. And also the material still is harder than the other tip I have just shown here. This is my reference tip. It's just a no-name, random-ass silicon tip, which I think it came with the H40, I even think so. And this is like my reference because it has like a wider nozzle, like about 5mm outlet. And generally, it's a pretty soft tip and pretty comfortable to use. And this thing is just, it's harder overall. It doesn't conform to my ear canal as well. So it really is not one of those tips I would recommend you wearing the whole day. Or maybe if your ear canal is the exact right size and it just works perfectly, then you can probably wear it the whole day. But for my ear canal, it just didn't work. I just can't use it maybe for, let's say, half an hour. Best case with the H40, which with this tips works really well for me, like an hour or so. But then I get like pressure spots and it gets uncomfortable in usage. So yeah, to sum it up, they're available in many sizes, the SednaEarfit Silicon series, whatever they are called. And they can be like for exactly, can be optimized for your ear canal pretty well. Also, like because of the hardness, they are not really comfortable and they have hardness and thickness. So definitely if you are just after comfort, these are probably not the tips to go for. And this brings me to the next chapter, and this is, non-surprisingly, noise isolation. And yeah, again, comparison here to this tip. This is just, again, my reference tip. This one isolates quite a bit worse in, almost all situations. So meaning if I have a pair of foam tips, which I don't have actually like outside, but just, for example, the tin tips here, those would be something like a 10 in isolation from a scale from 1 to 10. Because they isolate really well with their foam density, and if you get them to fit right, really nice isolating tip. This one would be, I don't know, like maybe 5 or 6, because while they're being pretty comfortable, as you can see material-wise again, it's pretty thin. But the nice thing you get with the tips here is they're definitely thicker, and also the material choice probably helps in isolating. So if you get a right fit with these, and this just means like fitting right, not being comfortable, they isolate pretty good for a silicon tip. It's, I'm thinking, maybe even the best isolating silicon tip I've had so far. Maybe, I'm not entirely sure though. So in terms of numbers, when I said the other one was like a 6 or so in isolation, a 5 to 6. This one is more a 7 or 8 in isolation. Definitively rivaling some, I want to say like bad foam tips, which are, if you don't get them to fit correctly, or if they're just too like airy or whatever, they're not isolating that well. So this definitely is really good isolating for a silicon tip. And if you're after isolation with silicon, I think this might be a good choice. And yes, this brings me to the next chapter. This is shaping sound. And again, I have to bring you my reference tip, the random ass, no name, whatever, medium bore outlet tip. And this is for me the standard, right? So I compare everything when we talk about shaping the sound to what these do in normal and what these can do better or worse. And yeah, as I said, this is like approximately 5mm an outlet, and if I get them pretty close to the camera, right one 5mm, here this one, you can see it's quite a bit bigger. It's like 6mm, maybe a tiny bit more than 6mm. And what is difficult to show on camera, but this thing actually does, it's like a slight funnel shape, I would say. So like it has this like funnel towards the outlet, that like it goes a bit like that. And yeah, this one is just in straight bore, like there's nothing else special about it, but this is like slight funnel shaped. And what this creates in, wrong tip. What this one creates in comparison to this one, it just sounds a bit more forward in quotes. So yeah, according to the packaging, and I get that in the camera so you can actually see it, what these are supposed to do is they should give you more frequency, like almost over the whole range. Main difference here would be, as you see, like mid-bass and this area here, and when the highest change here would be in upper treble regions here. And I can already give you a small spoiler. I don't think these do too much in upper treble regions. First of all, this is marketing gibberish because it doesn't tell you with what it is measured. It doesn't tell you with what earphone it's measured. It just gives you a random ass number or random ass graph, and this is how it is. So if you just look at the numbers here, I think at best case here, when they show it, would be like 2 to 3 decibels and changes. And normal case is like it's almost identical, right, over most of the spectrum here. So like half a decibel, 1 maybe. And seriously, my ears are good enough, but I don't think I noticed like a difference over most of the spectrum. Most of the spectrums, like not the correct term, at least most of the spectrum compared to this one. Yeah. So what I wanted to say, sorry for being a bit gibberish as well, these do not boost upper frequencies as much as the graph might indicate. But however, what they do create is like an additional forwardness. And with this, I mean, what this type does in comparison to this one, a bit better, it amplifies the characteristics of the IEM you have. Meaning, if you have already a reshaped IEM, which the ISO Audio H40, which I've shown before, let me just get a picture on. This one is certainly in reshaped IEM. What this one does, this tip, and this IEM in particular, it amplifies the bass region a bit and mid-treble. I definitely did notice a difference between this tip and this one, but it again, definitely noticed means it's a minor thing. You can notice it if you do like A to B comparisons, but if you just put on this tip and then this one after a few days, you will probably not notice a difference. It's just maybe 2 decibels or 3 at best, but it's really not a major difference. And the forwardness also mean, boosts the bass a bit, but as well as mid-treble frequencies. As I said, graph might indicate upper treble frequency boost, but I haven't noticed a major difference or I didn't really notice anything like changing too much in upper treble frequencies. So what this also does in comparison to this one gives you more soundstage. It's not a whole lot more. Like regular whiteboard tips like this one would be like an 8-ish, maybe 8.5-ish. This one gives you a bit more, it's like a 9 or maybe a 10, depending on probably what IEM you're using. But it's generally a bit better in terms of soundstage, which is expected because it's just a wider outlet. And I think this is already everything I can say about sound. It makes it a bit more forward to sum it up, like amplifies the characteristics of IEM. For example, again, if I have the ME500, which is a bright IEM, it would just lean a bit more brightish. And if you're in a reshaped IEM, it would just lean a bit more V-ish. So this brings me to the last chapter, and this is additional factors when considering this tip. And first of all, let's talk about the material. Because yes, as I said, this one is a pretty sticky tip with memory silicone. It collects dirt, it collects dust, it collects ear gunk like crazy, and it has to be cleaned pretty regularly. And this one, however, is just random. Like it's in good silicone, and it just doesn't do that. It is just a really nice feeling silicone, even compared to my reference tip here. It just feels better. It's not sticky. It's not like super slippery on the other side. It's something really nice in between, and it feels really good to the touch. And also, if you get it to fit just perfectly with an IEM in your ear canal, really well fitting and just also pretty secure without ever having the need to be like super sticky. And what this also makes is, like this one is really easy to clean. Just put it in rinse it with some warm water and you are fine. Maybe if your ears are more prone to collecting dirt, maybe you have to use a bit of soap, but it's really easy to clean. And you also don't have to worry in comparison to the Xelastecs here. Just use a bit of warm water, not too warm because then it gets damaged. Don't use too aggressive soap because then it might get damaged. Well, this one will not care. It's just a really good silicone. You can just wash it with whatever and it will be fine. Maybe you don't use too strong acids or whatever, but I doubt you will be doing that because you also want to put it in your ear. And strong acid, the residues in your ear, I wouldn't recommend that. So yes, in addition to being pretty easy to clean, is also that this pair of tips with its additional thickness is pretty versatile on what kind of IEM you can put it on. If you get something that is a bit thicker in diameter at some part in the stem, and let me just get that on here. This is the PMV PP, and it now permanently has the Xelastec tip on it, because this one just shaped after the nozzle here, and it won't hold on any other tip, on every other IEM I threw it on. Because this one has also like in kind of V shape or an A shape to it, so it's now permanently attached to this one, and I can't change it to anything else. This tip, however, does not do that. You can literally just throw it on anything and it will be fine. Probably because of the thicker material, and because they have a good silicon choice, but this is literally just the perfect tip for tip swapping in my opinion. Can throw it on whatever nozzle you want if it is not too small or too big, and it will fit just fine. And then you can remove it and you can throw it on another IEM. And this brings me, I think, already to the last point, and this is the additional length like you can get it. Because this tip to the right here is, as you can see, quite a bit longer, and what this does is, you can now use a silicon tip on IEMs with a shorter stem. Namely, for example, the TIN T2 or T4 series, which have a quite often short nozzle, and this makes them a bit difficult to fit in your ear. And it can also mean if you use foam tips, but the foam tips actually block and vent, and then you have driver flexing, and it's not nice. But this one actually is really optimal, in my opinion, for shorter nozzle IEMs. Because it's pretty long, it's pretty stiff, it will fit in most ears, I think, pretty well. So this would be what I'd say, a good choice for TIN T2, T4, or T like barrel-shaped IEMs, or generally everything with a shorter nozzle. So to summarize additional factors, first nice thing is it's easy to clean. It's probably really long lasting because of the choice of materials. It's probably also easy to maintain for longer because it's just easy to clean it. You don't need to worry about damaging it anyhow. And it also can fit IEMs with a short nozzle, here, this one, or this one would be also working for IEMs with longer nozzles. And this brings me to the conclusion, ladies and gentlemen. Would I recommend these? Difficult. Let's say in relative values. The Xelastecs here clocks in at $19 for 2 pairs, making it approximately like, let's say, $10 per pair. Relatively speaking, this one is 50% cheaper. It's $13 for 2 pairs, but it is approximately also, I would say, 50% worse in terms of comfort. It's definitively on the hard side for silicon tips. It's definitely not as comfy as the other ones, but what this additionally brings to the table is better isolation, and also because you can get it in more sizings, you can probably optimize it better for the exact IEM you have. So I would say only if you know harder silicon tips work for your ear canal, I think these are a really strong recommendation, because they are, as I said, in so many sizes available, different hardnesses, and it will just probably fit most ear canals just fine. But if you are like me, and I'm pretty sensitive in my ear canal, I don't think I can recommend these. Even if you get them to fit perfectly, as I said, on my H40, after an hour or so, I still notice hot spots in my ear canal, and I just don't want to wear it for too long. So to sum it up, it's still expensive tip, but not as expensive as Xelastec. It's long lasting, and if you know harder silicon will work for your canal, recommend it. In all other cases, you're probably better off spending with 50% more and getting a pair of Xelastec, which fit the ear canal just perfectly. Of course, assuming then you are fine with the quicker deterioration and just putting them on your favorite pair and nothing else. And yes, I hope you liked it. If you have any questions, if you have critique, if you have other feedback, please leave a comment. And with this, I'd say, Donspektor out!